Savior, an entity tasked with vanquishing the demons that have crossed over from hell, carrying out the mission to save humanity. The savior of this destroy is none other than our MC. We can see the MC has entered into a room and sees a huge demon sitting on its throne. By seeing the MC, the demon praises him that even though he is sponsored by the Constellations, he dares to come to this place with a mortal body. The demon also says to the MC that as a savior of the human race, he has done such great achievement that not even the other 10,000 potent demons could accomplish. But now his tale is coming to an end, as he cannot proceed further. The demon also said that if by chance he falls here, his legion will not end. The Mac then stops the demon and says that he knows about his plan, that Agares and Barbados, two archdukes, each commanding 31 and 30 legions of demons respectively, have been secretly dispatched to the human world. As there isn't any player in the human world, so there is no one in the human world who can deal with them. The MC then says to the demon that he is seizing the opportunity in his absence to try conquering the human world. The MC asks that if it will be his victory if he was to close all the dungeons that connect two places. As the demon is about to say something, a light appears around his neck. The light is the sword of the savior that he swings so fast to separate the head of the demon from its body. As the demon is defeated, a yellow color panel appears in front of the MC which says that he has defeated Beelzebub, the top-ranked demon among Solomon's 72 demons, and number of demons remaining is 2. By seeing this, the MC feels a bit sad, and said that it is a shitty life as he thought he would succeed this time. The MC is doing this for the 14th time. The first 3 rounds were intense. Until the 5th time, he became angry. But still, there was enough passion remaining for him to shed tears. Amid discussions of salvation and such, there were not just 1 or 2 occasions when he wanted to give it up completely, but every time he reassured himself that the next time would be different. And by repeating this over and over, he has faced his 14th attempt, but yet the result is none but failure. And now the MC has become too exhausted by this demon. The 72 calamities, collectively referred to as the Lemegeton, are depicted in the 6 books written by Solomon, the master of the dungeon, who has emerged in the world since last year. As humanity wields weapons against the monsters who are the minions of demons, since then they became powerless. Approximately a year has passed. The players from South Korea had entered in this narrow landmass and are facing 3 dungeons that have taken root and multiplied in the land. In their relentless pursuit to reclaim territories occupied by these monsters, they engage in daily battles. In the battlefield, a boy suddenly opens his eyes and feels a serious headache. The boy is none other than our MC who has returned to the past. The MC is current in the Andromalius hideout. This is one of the 3 dungeons located in South Korea, a colossal cave dungeon that has dominated over Gangwon province. At this point, the MC is a porter hired by the player exploring this place. This is the moment when the MC, the supposed savior, die and return every time. The MC gets angry on himself and says that what kind of a savior he is that is unable to protect himself. While the MC is depressed about it, he heard someone shouting, "Gargoyle, why are those creatures that only come from the depths here?" The MC remembers this event, because this is the first event that happens every time he regressed. The MC then looks ahead and sees a person in a nervous state who is shouting at him to quickly set the signal flare. The gargoyle sees the humans and gets angry to see them in his domain. The MC recognizes the person in front of him. The person's name is Kim Seong-bin. He is someone who hasn't been long since starting as an active player, a promising talent who has signed a contract with Heimdall, a constellation of Norse mythology. As the MC didn't do anything, Kim Seong-bin rushed towards him while being chased by the gargoyle. Kim Seong-bin then quickly takes the signal flare gun from the bag and shoots it in the sky. After shooting the flare, Kim Seong-bin yells at the MC that the flare signal has been delayed because of him. But the MC didn't give a crap about it and punched Kim Seong-bin on the face, and said that he should be responsible for finding the gargoyle rather not to make the porter, who is a non-player, become a bait. The MC has to suffer a lot because of this guy. He had to be the bait every time he regressed to buy some time for Kim Seong-bin. Even after this, the MC didn't do anything to Kim Seong-bin is because of the item Jallarhorn. The sacred power of Heimdall, the constellation that Kim Seong-bin contracted with, would be a crucial piece in the future. Battle against the demons. Kim Seong-bin then takes his sword and moves towards the MC. The MC could easily kill the guy. but he decided not to kill him as he is not a person who can just watch a guy death in front of him. In the meantime, the gargoyle comes above Kim Seong-bin and quickly dives and catch him. The MC was forced to fall back from the force of it. As seeing Kim Seong-bin gone, the MC gets angry and takes the sword and thinks to finish the gargoyle before anyone comes. As if anyone sees a porter like him hunting a gargoyle, it will cause huge public attention, which will be a problem for him. In order to take down a gargoyle, somewhere in that massive body, well beyond 3 meters in size, conceals a specific vulnerable spot. That is precisely where someone must aim. This monster is so formidable that even highly skilled players hesitate to hunt it alone. But if someone can exploit its weaknesses, anyone, even non-players, can defeat it. The gargoyle attacks, but the MC dodges it and moves towards it and jumps on its hand and fly towards its back. In its neck, a small hole, approximately 1 cm in diameter. The MC sees the hole and throws the sword at it. The sword pierced the hole, and after that, blue light comes from that hole and covers the whole body of the gargoyle, and after that, it shatters into pieces. After that, the yellow panel appears again and says that he has defeated a gargoyle without a contract, and many constellations are interested in him due to his remarkable performance. There are 83 constellations that requested a contract. The MC gets shocked to see this many constellations has requested a contract, as the utmost request a normal person can get is 3, and the maximum number of requests he got was 20. After that, all the names of the constellations comes in front of him. As the savior, when he dies, he gets regressed. He is given a mission to eradicate all the demons and save the humanity. But after doing this for 14 times, he gets tired of it and wants to take a little break. As in this 15th attempt, the MC decides to live the way he wants. While the MC is seeing all the requested contractors name, one of the name catches his eyes. The ruler of Muspelheim, Surtur, the forever emerging fire, who killed all the gods in the war during the Ragnarok, and the one who destroyed the world. The MC gets amazed to see that such a being has requested him for a contract for the first time in his 15th life. The MC then didn't think of anything and quickly confirms the request. The confirmation request appears, and after that, a sudden malfunction has occurred. Error starts to happen, so the system goes under recovery mode due to the unknown error. The MC didn't panic as he thinks that it should be bound to occur as he is making a contract with a superior being. After a while, the system error has been solved and a message has appeared, which say that the contractor will receive the constellation power. After that, a message again appears which says, the contract has multiple constellations. The contractor may choose one of the following. 1. The Lord of Muspelheim. 2. Kill the Lord. 3. Start an apocalypse. The MC choose the Lord of Muspelheim as the contract, though the name of the MC appears for the first time. Lee Yong-hak. After that, we can see the panel of Lee Yong-hak, constellation, the forever emerging fire, skills, strength, E, agility, E, stamina, F, speed, F, contract. The Lord of Muspelheim. Let's get known what is meant by special contract. Special contract, a contract that contains 2 or more constellations. The contractor can only choose one constellation and its power. So Lee Yong-hak has a special contract, the Lord of Muspelheim. It is the ruler of the Fire Nation located in the south. With the ability of the Lord of Muspelheim, Lee Yong-hak can control fire. Lee Yong-hak gets amazed to see that his 2 basis skills are E, only by choosing Surtur as his constellation. Lee Yong-hak takes a piece of the gargoyle and uses his firepower. He again gets surprised to see that he can use such a power when just F skill magic. While Lee Yong-hak is enjoying his newly found powers, he heard people's footsteps, which is coming towards him. As the rescue team comes, they see Lee Yong-hak in a panic situation, sitting beside the crops of the gargoyle and Kim Seong-bin. The rescue team was confused to see the situation. The girl quickly goes to Lee Yong-hak and asks if he is okay. With tearful eyes, Lee Yong-hak says he's okay, but Kim Seong-bin is death because he protected him. By seeing the crying Lee Yong-hak, the girl comforts him and takes him to the entrance. The girl also takes him out of the dungeon and says that he will be fine from now. Lee Yong-hak thanks the girl for helping him. The girl tells him that it is her responsibility to protect everyone from the danger. The girl tells Lee Yong-hak to take care of himself as she has to enter the dungeon again to investigate the situation, and also has to report it to the association. After that, the lady enters into the portal. From the behavior of the girl, Lee Yong-hak gets very impressed, and he thinks she is a good girl, and if all the players were like her, there will be no problem. As Lee Yong-hak is about to take his leave, the girl comes out of the dungeon and stops him. She then gives her contact card to Lee Yong-hak and tells him to inform her if he faces any problem. Lee Young-hak any thanks her. The girl then leaves. Lee Young-hak reads the card and found out that the girl's name is Lee Ji-yoon and she is from the Phoenix Guild. As he sees the name of the girl, he remembers that she will not live for long. She is going to die because of the incident that happened over one item in the Phoenix Guild. Lee Young-hak also recalls that the item for which Lee Ji-yoon has to die is related with Surtur, his constellation. Lee Young-hak didn't give a lot of thinking about it and decides to see that happens. He then puts the card in the pocket and gets out of the place. After that, Lee Young-hak takes a bus. While he was sitting in the bus, he was looking around the city and thinks that he needs to take a break, but before that he had to do something. Half a year ago, when the dungeons were left untouched, the 4th tier demon dungeon, the Cemetery of Gamijin, opened in the middle of Seoul. It happened when some stupid rankers took so long in the dungeon. They intentionally prolonged the time because of they're thirsty for money, since killing more monsters can give them more money. Lee Young-hak wants to solve this problem, but he doesn't want to involve himself, so he is in need of someone. He then thinks to Lee Ji-yoon and wants to make her his disciple. Lee Young-hak messages Lee Ji-yoon and Sasi that he has a strange feeling about the dungeon from where he has been rescued. After that, he gets out of the bus and come in front of the International Players Association. He comes here to become a player, as he cannot be someone's teacher while he is a porter. As he enters the building, he saw a huge crowd of people and reporters surrounding a group of people. These people are higher class people. Some of them are the guild leaders of some famous guilds. The leader of Hyeseong Guild and the co-leader of the Phoenix Guild is also present there. The reporters asked why all these powerful people are here at the Player Association, and if they are all gathered here to recruit any new player that has powerful constellation. Lee Young-hak didn't bother to go there. He simply goes to the receptionist and tells her that he wants to take the player test. After that, by giving a look at the crowd, he goes into a room. Becoming a player is easier than you think. All you need to do is apply to the association for an exam. The exam shows how you perform by killing monsters. It's like a simulation of when you are in the dungeon. If you have a contract with a very strong constellation, it's likely that there will be a lot of people coming to scout you. And the person who is the reason of the commotion earlier is none other than this guy who signed a contract with a high-level constellation. Ra, the god of sun. Lee Young-hak goes and sit beside this guy. His name is Seo Yun-ho, who has the high-tier constellation, Ra, the god of sun. While the two of them were sitting peaceful, the co-leader of the Phoenix Guild, Kim Young-sik, who has a mythic-level constellation, Juke, the vermilion bird, comes and greets Seo Yun-ho. As he was about to talk to Seo Yun-ho, an employee of the Player Association stops him and tells him that he cannot scout player in the waiting area. But because of Kim Young-sik's position in the Phoenix Guild, the employee let him go. Young-sik then tells the employee to shut his mouth and let them talk quietly. Young-sik then offers Seo Yun-ho to join their guild. By hearing this offer, Seo Yun-ho gets surprised, but he agrees to the offer and goes with Young-sik. Lee Young-hak finds Young-sik as greedy as before, and he feels that something bad will happen. If it was normal like before, Lee Ji-yoon would have died today, but it's different now, as Lee Ji-yoon is still alive. Lee Young-hak takes the exam and passed easily. He is then given his player card and a pamphlet. As Lee Young-hak walks out of the building, he reads the contents in the pamphlet and sees the name of Phoenix Guild. The Phoenix Guild has built new stimulations, and invites the new players to try out the new stimulation, and the in charge of this event will be Lee Ji-yoon. But to apply for this event, there are some requirements. Players must not be a member of any guild. Registered player is a must. If the conditions are met, the other requirements are 1. Have a contract with a mythic level constellation or higher 2. Have a contract with a hero type constellation or has fire related skill 3. Pass the player exam in less than a month with an average skill score of E or higher. By seeing these conditions, Lee Young-hak gets shocked because in his current state he won't be able to apply. To get his states higher, he goes to the Andromalius Warren dungeon. He must complete the dungeon twice to get the states according to the requirements. But Lee Young-hak wants to show himself someone who has great potential, so he decides to complete the dungeon thrice. He has to clear the dungeon 3 times in 4 days, as Phoenix Guild event will be held on that day. Lee Young-hak then goes inside the dungeon, and by using a shortcut, he teleports in front of the Goblin Colony, which is a secret room. By seeing him, all the goblins jumps at him, and he uses his firepower to burn all the goblins to ashes. A day later, his health and magic has risen to E, and he has collected quite a number of magic stones. After putting all the magic stones on a bag, he decides to leave as he has been killing goblins for a whole day. As he gets out of the secret room, he comes face to face with Lee Ji-yoon. As Lee Ji-yoon calls out his name, he quickly says that she got the wrong person. As she was about to chase him, the co-leader asked what she is doing. She requests the co-leader to wait for Bit, but the co-leader tells her that they should go quickly or else their boss will get mad. Lee Yong-hak quickly comes out of the dungeon and gets scared if he has been caught by Lee Ji-yoon. Then a few days later at the Phoenix Guild event, many new players has gathered there. Lee Yong-hak is also present. At first, Lee Ji-yoon starts to demonstrate their new stimulation. She actives the machine, and Gargoyle appears. The Gargoyle attacks her, but she swiftly dodges the attacks. By seeing this Lee Yong-hak that Lee Ji-yoon has better senses than he assumed. Lee Ji-yoon blocks the Gargoyle attack with her sword and counterattack. She jumps high in the air and slashed the Gargoyle from the middle. Lee Yong-hak thinks she will be a hero-level player in the future, as her constellation is Chukjun-gyeong, which is a hero-level constellation. After that, Lee Ji-yoon sees Lee Yong-hak, and after seeing his level, Lee Ji-yoon thinks it was strange because she was pretty sure Lee Yong-hak was only a porter, and it has been only 4 days since he registered as a player. Lee Ji-yoon wonders how in the world did Lee Yong-hak raised all his average stats to level E within mere 4 days. Then Lee Ji-yoon recalls all the past events which occurred with her while meeting Lee Yong-hak. About how he explained things to her which doesn't even make sense, that he decided to hunt some goblins so that he can pay his rent. But well, he kinda lost track and just defeated them one by one, unknowingly. And he learned that when he was a porter. Lee Yong-hak acted strangely by running away in front of Lee Ji-yoon, saying she got the wrong person, and he was not the person whom she was looking for. When Lee Ji-yoon chased him, she noticed some crops burning on the alley, and thought that he just might be a talented player. At present, Lee Ji-yoon asked Lee Yong-hak how many would she set up for him. Lee Yong-hak replied that only 3 would suffice. Lee Ji-yoon asked him again by laughing why 3 not 30 or more, as she thought he would be able to defeat him. But seeing how Lee Yong-hak is struggling with 3 goblin, she understands that she expected too much from him. Lee Yong-hak trained for a long time and sees that Lee Ji-yoon is still training. The team leader Lee Ji-yoon topples over the ground while training, and Lee Yong-hak shouts at her saying that the way she is doing the thing is the wrong method. Lee Yong-hak advised his team leader to focus more on your waist movement rather than her legs, and also that her strides are long, so taking just half a step is fine. The team leader says in a rude manner that who is he to give her some advice, he is not even a high ranker and he can barely defeat 3 goblin. Then Lee Yong-hak runs away, making an excuse as he has some business to attend. At night, at team leader's house, she is in a bad mood while thinking how annoying Lee Yong-hak is, as he is just a newbie player, but she thinks of giving his advice a shot. While trying his advice, she is surprised that she succeeded in mastering 5 out of 7 steps. She thinks how Lee Yong-hak knows all of this. Lee Yong-hak enters Andromalius's warren, spawned in the secret room, goblin colony, to train so that he can be the teacher of Lee Ji-hun. He defeats all the goblin with one move using fire technique, burning every single one of them to ashes. Lee Yong-hak says that it has been a long time since he met Zhang Zia, and many message pops up like the Constellation, an angler who seeks time. Noticed you, the Constellation. An angler who seeks time is now watching you. The test has begun, and lastly, prove yourself to the Holy Throne. Lee Yong-hak runs over the bridge while burning the goblin who are chasing him. Another message comes into view that the tyrant of the lake suddenly awakes from a long slumber. Lee Yong-hak burns the tyrants using his fire and successfully catches the tyrant of the lake. As a result, his strength, agility, and magic increases to level E. Lee Yong-hak doesn't thought he would level up this fast, but he also knows that things will get harder from now on. As he reaches in front of a door, some bunch of notifications arrive, such as, "You've successfully made a contract with the Constellation, an angler who seeks time, Zhang Ziyi." And now he has the access to the abilities of the Constellation. A special contract has also been found, and Lee Yong-hak is told to choose the following contracts. 1. Full Dominance. 2. Supreme Art of Taegong. 3. Vengeance, no turning back. After that, Lee Yong-hak chooses number 2, and a message appears which says Lee Yonghak has successfully received the power of Supreme Art of Taegong. The details of the Supreme Art of Taegong also appears. It says that from the origins of the historic angler Jiang Ziye, Taegong. His fishhook can dangle 3 feet away from the water surface. After that, Lee Yonghak decides to return to home. We can see that Lee Yonghak has 2 constellations, the forever emerging fire, an angler who seeks time. His basic skills has been risen to E, and he also gets 2 special contracts. After that, in the association building, the sparring between Team 2 and Team 3 leaders has started. Team 3 leader Lee Ji-yoon faces off with Team 2 leader. The battle was over in a blink of an eye with a victory of Team 2. Leader Lee Ji-yoon. As the spar finishes, she rushes to the exit thinking, how does Lee Yonghak knows about an ancient martial art that no one knows about? She also gets curious to know what kind of a person Lee Yonghak is. She gives a message to Lee Yonghak for meeting with her as she wants to learn more about this martial art as quickly as possible. Also, she is in need for a teacher as fast as possible. But as she sees the message of Lee Yonghak, she gets surprised as Lee Yonghak rejects to meet her. As Lee Ji-yoon didn't message anything, Lee Yonghak laughs at this to see Lee Ji-yoon gets pissed off. While he is laughing, a man passes him bundles of money. The man said to him that for all the magic stones he will give Lee Yonghak a total of 33.27 million won. As Lee Yonghak is about to take his money, the bald man says to Lee Yonghak that he is a talented customer, and from the amount of magic stones it seems like Lee Yonghak has killed all the goblins. Lee Yonghak gives an angry look and said that he did something like that. The bald man then said that he is not asking this with any other alternative motive, but rather, he finds it a bit weird that how much Lee Yonghak makes only by defeating goblins. The bald man also said to Lee Yonghak that it should be good for him to an auction house. Lee Yonghak replies that he understands his curiosity and asked why he thinks that way. The bald man replied that he also didn't know the reason, but he feels like it to say it, and so he said it. The man then gives Lee Yonghak an auction consultant card and said that if he wanted an invitation, he should contact the auction consultant. Lee Yonghak takes the card, but he didn't know anything about auctions as he has never participated in one. Lee Yonghak then puts the card in the pocket as he is not interested in it, but he also thinks to visit the auction for once. Then on the next day morning, we can see Lee Yonghak has gone to the Phoenix Guild Training Center. While he is making a coffee, he sees Lee Ji-yoon training. He knows who curious Lee Ji-yoon is to know how he know about the secret technique. Lee Ji-yoon didn't go to Lee Yonghak and asked anything because of all the persons watching her. Lee Yonghak also didn't give a crap and takes a sword to train. As he is about to start the stimulation device, Lee Ji-yoon starts to train loudly. She does it intentionally so that Lee Yonghak notices her and comes to talk to her. Lee Yonghak understands this, and he directly asked her if she need anything from him. Lee Ji-yoon acts like she is clueless and said to Lee Yonghak that what he is talking about. Lee Yonghak gets that she is toying with him, so to give her a little surprise, he tells her that he will not be attending this lesson from tomorrow onwards. By hearing this, Lee Ji-yoon gets super shocked and starts to convince him to not leave the lesson while he is doing well. Lee Yonghak replies that he has to leave because he feels uncomfortable for someone. He then advises her that she should solely focus on her own training. By hearing this, Lee Ji-yoon gets confused. In the meantime, Lee Yonghak starts to walk out of the room. As he opens the gate, Lee Ji-yoon begs him to wait and admits that it was her fault. By seeing her begging, Lee Yonghak decides to stay. Then at the evening, we can see Lee Ji-yoon is resting as she makes her whole body sore from all the training. In that time, Lee Yonghak comes all dressed by nicely and takes a big. He tells Lee Ji-yoon to watch carefully. He then focuses all his powers and slashes the wooden sword. The slash makes a huge wind and hits Lee Ji-yoon. Lee Yonghak then asked Lee Ji-yoon that how would her constellation react if it sees her performing this. He also tells her that it will be hard for her to use this skill with a normal sword. Lee Yonghak then goes towards her and hand over the sword in his hand to her. After that, we can see Phoenix Guild co-leader Kim Young-sik. He gets angry when he heard the news that second team leader has been defeated by Lee Ji-yoon. He also gets shocked to see that in 1 month, Lee Ji-yoon has gotten this much stronger. He then tells his subordinate to investigate this. He then gets up from the chair and tells his subordinate to keep this case aside, and orders to tell him what he was telling before. The subordinate says that the item he is looking for is included in the auction. And as for the operational funds, he had already got permission from their investors. So there is nothing to worry about. By hearing this, Kim Young-sik praises his subordinate and says that if very thing goes according to the plan, the item will be in his hands. Then, after a few days in the auction, Lee Young-hak has also come to the auction wearing a black hoodie. As he entered the room, he checks for the Phoenix Guild and found them. He then takes his sit and looks the items listed for today's auction. While the auction starts, the first item is a bow, and it was sold for 7.8 million won. After that, one by one, items starts to get sold. A golden helmet, sword, armor, and the dungeon plant all get sold. The auction is coming to an end. The last item is only left to be auctioned. The last item is a magic item found in a Sweden dungeon. A total nightmare of the Norse mythology. The one who burned the whole world into ashes, the sword of that great Surtur of Muspelheim, the Leviathan. The starting bid for his sword is 1 billion won. By seeing the sword, the co-leader Kim Young-sik bid 500 billion won. As no one has bids anymore, the sword was sold for 500 billion won to Kim Young-sik. This is also the highest auction price in history. Lee Young-hak pity Kim Young-sik for throwing 500 billion for a sword that he thinks is perfect for him. After that, in the Phoenix Guild meeting, we can see co-leader Kim Young-sik yells at the leader by saying that he was the one who bought the sword from the auction. And now he is giving the sword to Seo Yoon-ho. Yoon Hyun-sung, the leader of the Phoenix Guild, said to Kim Young-sik that why did he buy the sword with 500 billion won? The leader also said that he is giving the sword to Seo Yoon-ho so that the efficiency of the guild increases. He also says that they had discussed with the investors and decided the Leviathan has a great potential and is beyond everyone else. And so they have decided to lend it to Seo Yoon-ho. A girl who was sitting there says, Seo Yoon-ho has a high-level constellation, so giving it to him will give him an opportunity to rise quickly as a ranker. Plus, it'll give the guild a little more recognition. Lastly, the leader tells Kim Young-sik not to worry, as another item will be there for him in the next auction. Kim Young-sik replied that he understands it, and after that he gets out of the room and goes to his chamber. At his chamber, he burst into anger and bad-mouthed on the administrators. Kim Young-sik is not a person who will not let this go easily. He thinks to make sure that Seo Yoon-ho's growth is beneficial for him. He then calls his subordinate Jong-soo and tells him to look for Seo Yoon-ho and find about his whereabouts, as he need to know what the leader is planning to do with Seo Yoon-ho. After that, in the leader's office, we can see Lee Ji-yoon is there talking with the leader. The leader tells her to teach Seo Yoon-ho. By hearing this, Lee Ji-yoon gets shocked and tells the leader that Seo Yoon-ho is under co-leader. The leader tells her that he believed that it's very absurd to move a newcomer to a team that is led by a high ranker. So moving him to her would be more reassuring. The leader also says that this will be best for the guild, as Lee Ji-yoon is also a potential player of the guild. Lee Ji-yoon gets a bit sad because she knew how narrow-minded Kim Young-sik is. The leader then said that for the time being, the 3 teams will take turns on the training program, so Lee Ji-yoon can take a break starting today. Lee Ji-yoon then requests the leader that if she can talk to Seo Yoon-ho later, as she thinks they need to talk about this decision. The leader agrees to her. Lee Ji-yoon then gets out of the room with a depressing face, as he just starts to learn from Lee Young-hak, but from now on she will not get the time to learn from him. She regrets that why she didn't directly ask Lee Young-hak from the start to teach her. As she's walking on the hallway, she meets with her teammates. Her teammates asked her what she talked about with the leader. She says that, starting today, this program will be on hold, as the teams will take turns doing the program. And so she will be stepping down starting tomorrow. She also tells them not worry, as the guild leader has assigned her a separate task. Then they cheer her by saying that the leader has entrusted her such a task. Beside this, Lee Young-hak is training. By seeing him, Lee Ji-yoon goes to him and says that today is her last day here. By hearing this, Lee Young-hak gets a bit confused and didn't say anything. They both stand facing each other in complete silence. After a while, Lee Ji-yoon goes away without saying a single word. As she goes away, Lee Young-hak starts to think what has happened to her. He gives pressure to his brain and remembers that there will be an incident involving with Kim Young-sik. The incident will occur tomorrow or the day after that. After that at night, we can see Lee Ji-yoon has gone to Kim Young-sik and said him that the leader has ordered that Seo Yoon-ho will be in her care for the time being. By hearing this, Kim Young-sik bursts into anger and shouts at the leader, calling him a bastard. After that, he tells Lee Ji-yoon to get out. As she gets out, Kim Young-sik takes out his phone from his pocket and calls somebody, and said something that if it is still there and blah blah. He then asks that person for a favor and says that he will take the Levitine as soon as possible as that sword belongs to him. On the next morning, we can see Seo Eun-ho and Lee Ji-yoon meets each other. Seo Eun-ho tells her that he is impressed by her performance on the last sparring session and it an honor for him to be able to train under her. By hearing this, Lee Ji-yoon tells him to stop all the over-complimenting. She then says him that she need to go soon since she have something to report to the guild leader. Before going, she says that she also heard that there's a gift that is waiting for him and asked if he already get it or not. Seo Eun-ho replied he didn't get it, and after that, he says bye to her as he will be receiving his gift. Seo Eun-ho then comes in front of a door, and as he sees that the door is open, by seeing this he feels suspicious. He then gets into the room and quickly turns on the light. As he turns on the light, he sees the co-leader is there. Kim Young-sik is stealing the Levitine sword. As he sees Seo Eun-ho, he bursts into anger and flame starts to come out of his wild body. Seo Eun-ho asked him that why is he here and why he's holding the Levitine. Kim Young-sik says that he saw him and throw flames at him. But the flames didn't do any damage to Seo Eun-ho. Kim Young-sik then rushes towards him and grabs Seo Eun-ho's neck and rise him up. Kim Young-sik also brings out the sword's true form. He then tightens his grip and says to Seo Eun-ho that he shouldn't scout him. After a while, Seo Eun-ho is unable to breathe and is about to lose his consciousness. The flames also starts to show its effects and burns Seo Eun-ho's clothes. As Seo Eun-ho is about to die at that time, Lee Ji-yoon comes from the roof and attacks Kim Young-sik. To dodge her attack, Kim Young-sik lets Seo Eun-ho go. As Seo Eun-ho falls on the floor, Lee Ji-yoon goes to him and asks if he is okay. By seeing Lee Ji-yoon, Kim Young-sik gets more furious and the intensity of the flames around him gets higher. The flames take a dragon form and Kim Young-sik gets ready to kill the both of them. As Lee Ji-yoon sees Kim Young-sik is trying to kill them, she points her sword at him and says if he has gone crazy, that he is trying to kill his own team members just because he thinks they have taken something from him. Kim Young-sik is driven by anger. He tells Lee Ji-yoon to stop spouting bullshit and come at him. By saying this, Kim Young-sik launches a flame attack at her. Lee Ji-yoon slashes the flame with her sword. By seeing this, Kim Young-sik has gone totally mad and said to Lee Ji-yoon that his powers has already reached another level. And if she thinks that she can defeat him with a factory-made sword, Lee Ji-yoon then rushes towards him by cutting all the fireballs with her sword. Eventually, Lee Ji-yoon reaches to Kim Young-sik as she attacks him with her sword. Kim Young-sik blocks it easily with the Levitine. But for the flames of Kim Young-sik, she had to fall back. The flames to Kim Young-sik gets very intense, and it takes a form of a bird. He then tells Lee Ji-yoon that taking a fight with him is a big mistake, as she cannot beat him using brute force. And even if she uses a sneak attack, that will not be of any use, as she will be burned to ashes by his flames. Lee Ji-yoon also gets a bit scared, as she also knows that she is no match for Kim Young-sik. But she thinks it's too late for Het to turn back, so she decides to fight until she dies. After that, Kim Young-sik attacks with his flames. Lee Ji-yoon also rushes towards him. While she was rushing forward, she notices that the flames are going to hit Seo Eun-ho, so she falls back and goes to protect Seo Eun-ho. While protecting him, a fireball hits her arm and the sword falls from her hand. Lee Ji-yoon also falls on her knees and is completely defenseless. The flames to Kim Young-sik has surrounded the both of them and is slowly moving towards them. As the flame is about to hit them, suddenly Lee Yong-hak appears and gathers all the flames in the room on his palm and vanishes them. He pats at Lee Ji-yoon's head and says that she has done a good job. Kim Young-sik gets shocked, and by pointing the sword at Lee Yong-hak, he asked him who is he and what has happened to his flames. Lee Yong-hak replied that he is here to pick Lee Ji-yoon up and be her master. After that, we can see Seo Eun-ho is lying on a hospital bed. He suddenly wakes and sees that the guild leader is sitting beside him. As Seo Eun-ho wants to get up, the leader tells him to stay still and not to move around too much. He also says that one of the guild members saw him passed out in the warehouse and that's why he is here. The leader says that he has inhaled too much smoke, but luckily, the members responded quickly, or else it would have been dangerous if they didn't find him earlier. The leader then apologized to Seo Eun-ho for that has happened to him. Seo Yun-ho tells that there is no need for that and asked him about Lee Ji-yoon. The leader says that the team leader, Lee Ji-yoon, already woke up last night and is well. She is also discharged from the hospital. Her lungs didn't seem to be in good condition, but fortunately, it's not too serious. The leader also says that he is amazed to see Lee Ji-yoon can catch up to Kim Young-sik and said that this incident will be further investigated by the association. Seo Yun-ho was about to say that there was another person, but for some reason he didn't say it, and says that he and Lee Ji-yoon caught Kim Young-sik. The leader then said that they also found traces of clothes that seemed to be cut by a blade. And if they take this into account, there should be 3 of them at the scene. When the members found Seo Yun-ho gets a bit nervous, and he remembers that when Lee Ji-yoon falls back to protect him, there was a blast of bright light. And then he saw a man who didn't have a weapon and was flaming brightly. By seeing him nervous, the leader asked him if he remembers anything. Seo Yun-ho said the leader that Hao didn't remember anything. He keeps this a secret, because first he wants to talk to Lee Ji-yoon about this matter. After that, we can see Lee Ji-yoon, who is all patched up in bandages and is lying on her bed dreaming about Lee Yong-hak's words. She then sits up and messages Lee Yong-hak that how did he know that she was there. He replied that he was constantly watching her, and when he was chilling in the hallway he saw a fire break out somewhere near the warehouse and rushed. There Lee Yong-hak then asked her that, will now she become his student? Lee Ji-yoon replied that she will. Lee Yong-hak gets shocked to see that she accepted that so easily. While he was keeping an eye on Lee, Ji-yoon gets found that there is also a group that was also keeping an eye on Kim Young-sik. Lee Yong-hak is clearing dungeons with the Levitain, the sword of Surtur. The Levitain also changes its shape as it finally meets its master. While he is looking at the Levitain, a message pops up which says that Lee Yong-hak has surpassed the monster hunting limit, and his skills also level up. By seeing this message, Lee Yong-hak gathers all the magic stones and puts them in a bag. He takes the bag on his shoulders and thinks that he should find a training place for his student. But there is a problem with training place as it is impossible to get one on sale. While walking, Lee Yong-hak laughs because he has found a nice place that he can use for training. Then after a few days later, we can see Lee Ji-yoon and Seo Yun-ho is in a dungeon, killing goblins with fire powers. Lee Ji-yoon is observing Seo Yun-ho while he uses his powers. She then tells Heike that his mana consumption is too high, and the delay of his attack launch and the attack itself doesn't really align. She then advises him that he should only consume his mana based on what his opponent is, and also he need to know how to conserve and use mana properly. By hearing this, Seo Yun-ho gets depressed. By seeing him depressed, Lee Ji-yoon tells him that his power is indeed amazing, and maybe sooner or later he will surpass her. Seo Yun-ho gets shy and said to stop embracing him. He then asked her about the identity of the person who saves them at the warehouse. By hearing this, Lee Ji-yoon gets a bit tensed and asked him that if he has already told everyone about this. Seo Yun-ho replied that he didn't say it to anyone. Lee Ji-yoon then goes close to him and said Seo Yun-ho to hear very carefully as it is a very confidential. Seo Yun-ho nods his head and ensures her that he will not tell this to anyone. After that, Lee Ji-yoon says that the person is her master. By hearing this, Seo Yun-ho gets super curious and requests her to let him meet her master. Lee Ji-yoon sends messages to Lee Yong-hak and asked where is he. She didn't see him today and is something going on? Lee Yong-hak replied that he will leave the program starting today. He will send Lee Ji-yoon the location when it's ready and currently he is reviewing it. Lee Yong-hak tells her to take rest as she was overdoing herself while training her swings before. Lee Yong-hak feels all things are going good, and he need to only focus on this current matter. Choi Jin-wook, the former guild leader of the Comet Guild, which is also one of the top 3 guilds in Korea. He was once a popular ranker, however. Things turned upside down when both of his arms was cut off by monsters. He's the one who built the players' training ground. He used his very own money to build it. However, his reputation and fame is slowly disappearing. And now, his training ground is nothing but an abandoned place. Before the training ground was still popular, it would be fully packed at this time. But presently, it is now empty, and Lee Yong-hak worries because the equipment here is fully covered in dust. But it seems the equipment is clean. Lee Yong-hak calls if anyone is there or not. The training manager replies, "Who is it?" Lee Yong-hak says he came here to check the training grounds. The manager tells him that we are not accepting guests right now. The manager states that he seems like a newbie, and if he is looking for a guild, he came to a wrong place and asked him to leave. Lee Young-hak utters that it's fine and he wants to check what's on the upstairs. The manager gets angry and repeats that there is nothing and he may leave this moment. Lee Young-hak states that he wants to buy this place with the equipments, including. The manager's face becomes furious and says him not to fool around and leave. Lee Young-hak tells the manager that he is not fooling around. He just wants to have a conversation with him, which is about Kangman-sik. A year ago, there was a dungeon that ordinary players cannot easily get into. Only the Comet Guild could explore the depths of the dungeon. That dungeon is the Andromalius' hideout. Deep within is full of loots and surely a good place to hunt as it gives a lot of money. Choi Jin-wook has tried to clear that dungeon multiple times, to the point where he was getting impatient. Afterwards, he worked together with the Comet Guild members, along with Kang Man-sik. As a result of their hardship, Kang Man-sik became the guild leader of Comet Guild, while Choi Jin-wook, the training manager, says he shouldn't have trusted Kang Man-sik. Somehow he managed to escape, and they are responsible for this horrible state of his arm. What can I even do to them if I am like this, Choi Jin-wook conveys. Lee Young-hak thinks in his mind that Andromalius' hideout is actually the easiest dungeon among the 72 dungeons. If Kang Man-sik had cleared the dungeon and somehow didn't decided to betray him, the appearance of the 4th dungeon in Korea would have been delayed. Choi Jin-wook intervenes, saying that there's no point taking a look at this building. Lee Young-hak investigates that does he meant by it. The manager explains that Kang Man-sik and the Comet Guild are roaming somewhere around here, so can he sells this building to him. Lee Young-hak replies that he is a seller and he has a buyer, so there would be no problem and there's no one stopping him doing that. Choi Jin-wook informs him that the Comet Guild will be a nuisance. Those bastards are the one who stopped the players from coming here. Lee Young-hak reassures the manager that there's nothing to worry about, and he should be the one taking care of the things. Choi Jin-wook tells that a building without a guest will make it hard to pay for the bills. Then both of them goes to the 2nd floor of the building. Lee Young-hak thinks that the reason why he came to see Choi Jin-wook is for his training grounds. But another reason for it is to catch Kang Man-sik. Of course, Kang Man-sik won't be alone, so he will just wait till he comes to Choi Jin-wook. On the other side, the team leader enters the association to report something with his subordinate Seo Yoon-ho. Seo Yoon-ho asked Lee Ji-yoon did something happen yesterday. Lee Ji-yoon seems irritated with Lee Young-hak and thinks within herself, I should practice my swordsmanship skills today. You're telling me to come right now? If you told me that it was ready in advance, then it would have been fine. Seo Yoon-ho investigates if she is thinking about the master of hers. The question startled Lee Ji-yoon. Lee Ji-yoon thinks that it was close and she don't get why Yoon-ho is so attached to Young-hak. She thought he was trying to hide his skills, but now it just seems like he wants to reveal it to someone. Lee Ji-yoon asks Seo Yoon-ho to wait here and she will head inside and submit the report. Lee Ji-yoon introduces herself to the association and states that she is in charge of investigating the rising number of gargoyles. The association consists of investigators, the executive staff and the board members, and the Comet Guild's lead Kang Man-sik. Kang Man-sik announces to start the meeting. Lee Ji-yoon was shocked to see Kang Man-sik as he shouldn't be here. So what is he doing here? Lee Ji-yoon concludes her report. Kang Man-sik investigates, so now that she have explained the reason of the abnormalities, is she implying that this is caused by some sort of snake at the center? Lee Ji-yoon replies that yes, as we investigated the incident as soon as possible, and we can confirm that there was an unusual entrance to go to the depths of the dungeon. If we don't take action quickly, something dangerous might happen. And in addition, the person behind the damages and the abnormal phenomenon in the dungeon seems to be connected to the incident. She encourages the association to make a plan as soon as possible. Kang Man-sik gives death glare to Lee Ji-yoon and asks her is she capable of taking responsibility of what she is saying as she is the head of the investigation team, which startled Lee Ji-yoon. Kang Man-sik illustrates that clearing a dungeon is not that simple. Many people's lives are at stake here. Can she take responsibility if something happens in the middle of clearing? Kang Man-sik says that he is not implying that Lee Ji-yoon is wrong, but says to take a look at the bigger picture here. Kang Man-sik goes near Lee Ji-yoon and tells her that each and everyone is fighting the best as they can for their lives. Shouldn't we be the one who's looking after them? He says for now, let's arrange a new investigation team so that we can better understand what really happened. And once it's clear, then it's our time to move. And with that the meeting came to a halt. Lee Ji-yoon realizes that this association is just blinded by money and making ties with other guilds, and it is something that she cannot handle on her own accord. Lee Ji-yoon sends a message to Young-hak saying to help her regarding this Andromalius's hideout, and Kang Man-sik attended that meeting today. Lee Young-hak didn't expect that Kang Man-sik will attend such an important meeting, and he conceives that it might be because he saved Lee Ji-eun. Kang Man-sik probably caught Lee Ji-eun's attention as she mentioned that the dungeon needs to be cleared. Lee Young-hak thinks Lee Ji-eun would rather go alone if no one wants to go there. But if they go there, if their current abilities, they are as good as dead. Lee Young-hak decides that he should go the dungeon and sends a message to Lee Ji-yoon saying he would call her soon. Later. At the Comet Guild, we can see the Comet Guild's team, one leader Han Soo-yeon, has heard the news from his subordinate that a person has gone to the Choi Jin-wook's training center. The leader didn't give a thought about it, and said that it may be some civilian who entered there without knowing anything. She then told her subordinate to solve this matter like the last time they did, and also says not to bother her with this kind of small work. The subordinate then says that it seems a little strange, so they shouldn't just let it go. And from what he heard, the person stayed inside for almost half a day. From this, it seems likely that the person is a player. For now, go and intimidate them as usual. Also, find out what they heard from Choi Jin-wook, the team leader Han Soo-yeon said. In the meantime, Lee Young-hak is at Choi Jin-wook's training center. He is sitting them, enjoying his drink, as there is no one to disturb him. While he is enjoying his coffee, Choi Jin-wook comes to him and asked if he isn't bored of coming here every day, as he already told him that he is not selling this place. Lee Young-hak said that he will eventually do that. After saying that, he gets up from the seat and says that he has a good rest and now he will take his leave. Choi Jin-wook then said, if he is busy, that he is going so soon today. After hearing this, Lee Young-hak said to Choi Jin-wook that if he should stay behind, if he is feeling lonely. Choi Jin-wook gets a bit embraced and tells Lee Young-hak that if he is leaving, he should leave quickly. After that, Lee Young-hak leaves, saying that he will be coming tomorrow. As he leaves, the subordinate of Han Soo-yeon approaches him. They both then goes into a cafe, and the subordinate gives Lee Young-hak his visiting card. By seeing the behavior of the man, Lee Young-hak gets that the man has come to him with a motive, so he tells the man to get straight to the point as he is busy today. The man said that they would like to support him, whom they see has growth potential, by offering a 6-month pass to the best training facility in the country. By hearing this, Lee Young-hak says that he is not interested in it. The man gets confused and asks him for an explanation. Lee Young-hak then clears his statement that he is not interested in it, as he finds it a bit suspicious, because as an F class he can't even join a guild. So what kind of potential did they see in him? Lee Young-hak then gets up and said to the man that he feels like that he has been mocked, and it's quite unpleasant. He then says to the man that as he has nothing more to say, so he will be taking his leave. After saying this, Lee Young-hak walks straight out of the cafe. The man calls him from behind, but he didn't respond to the man's call and quickly walks out of the cafe. As Lee Young-hak is walking on the road, he thinks that the man will surely threaten him, as he has provoked him a bit. He then takes out of his phone and messages his disciple, Lee Ji-yoon, to come to the dungeon at tomorrow night. On the other hand, Lee Ji-yoon and Seo Yun-ho is raiding a dungeon together. Lee Ji-yoon is training Seo Yun-ho. But after a while of training, Seo Yun-ho gets tried and requests Lee Ji-yoon to take a short break. By seeing the condition of Seo Yun-ho, Lee Ji-yoon also agrees to take a short break. The two of them take shelter under a tree. Seo Yun-ho sits on the ground and pants heavily. By seeing this, Lee Ji-yoon puts a cool cloth on his head. From this, Seo Yun-ho gets a bit cool and thanks her. Lee Ji-yoon puts a nice smile and tells him that he doesn't need to be so formal with her. By seeing her so happy, Seo Yun-ho asked her if something good happens to her. By hearing this, Lee Ji-yoon asked him that why he thinks that way. Seo Yun-ho replies that she seemed a bit down since she came back from the association. But she looks cheerful today, and also he even got a bit worried when he saw her laughing while mining the magic stone earlier. The main reason she is in a good mood today is because of Lee Young-hak's message. But she didn't want to tell this to Seo Yun-ho, so she avoids this, and tells Seo Yun-ho that resting time is over, and now they should be going. After that, at the nighttime, we can see Lee Young-hak is traveling on a bus. While sitting on the bus, he thinks about the man of the Comet Guild. He gets a bit surprised that the man didn't do anything. While thinking about this, he has arrived at his destination. He then shows the card to the bus sensor and steps out of the bus. He then gets into the dungeon and looks around. As he was looking around at that time, Lee Ji-yoon comes and greets him. She then starts to tease him. Lee Yong-hak gets a bit annoyed and tells her to drop all this foul talks and asks her about her training. Lee Ji-yoon makes a disappointed look and replies that she have been training diligently, just as he instructed. But she is not seeing any progress. By hearing this, Lee Yong-hak tells her to come with him. They then comes in front of a mountain. As they gets there, Lee Yong-hak starts to search for something. After a while, he finds it and pushes a button-like thing on the mountain. As he pushes it, blue light starts to appear from it, and the both of them gets teleported to a cave. By seeing this, Lee Ji-yoon gets surprised and asked him if this is the same place that he showed her the last time. Don't compare it to those bonus stages where only measly goblins appear, Lee Yong-hak said. After that, the ground starts to shake, and Lee Yong-hak said that it is coming. Lee Ji-yoon gets scared and asked Lee Yong-hak that what is coming. Lee Yong-hak didn't says anything, as a huge green monster come in front of them with a loud roar. By seeing the huge monster, Lee Ji-yoon takes a step back and asked Lee Yong-hak that what is this. Lee Yong-hak said to her that she should address him as master when they are training. She understands it and asked him to tell about the monster. Lee Yong-hak says that it is a cyclops, which is stronger than 3 ogres combined. He then asked her if she is ready to fight it. By hearing this, Lee Ji-yoon gets scared and says how she will fight against this monster. Lee Yong-hak gives a deathly smile and tells that before teaching her the ultimate move, he wants to test the skills of his dear disciple. Lee Ji-yoon gets nervous and says that she cannot even handle an ogre on her own. So how in the world she is supposed to beat that monster that is more than 3 times stronger than an ogre? Lee Yong-hak then asked, wasn't it she who wanted to get stronger, and that's why she followed him around with ironclad determination? Lee Ji-yoon gets a bit shy and says that she didn't thought it to be this extreme. Lee Yong-hak also asked her that who said that she cannot defeat an ogre alone, and if she thinks herself as a B grade. As Lee Ji-yoon is afraid to battle the Cyclops, Lee Yong-hak says her not to give up even before trying. He also tells her that he never told her to win against the monster. He then tells her to go, as when she will be facing difficulties he will help her. Lee Ji-yoon gathers a bit of courage and decides to give a try. She takes out her long sword and rushes towards the Cyclops. The Cyclops also notices her and gives an angry look. She dashed towards the Cyclops' feet and swings her sword, but she was shocked to see that her attack didn't do any damage to Cyclops. The Cyclops gets mad and throws a punch at her. At the right time, Lee Ji-yoon gets back, and the punch falls on the ground and shatters it. Lee Ji-yoon then again rushes towards the Cyclops and again strikes its feet, but again the outcome of her attack is 0. She gets frustrated to see that her attacks are of no use. The Cyclops then launches a punch, but this time it was too late for her to dodge it. She closes her eyes and gets prepared to leave this world. But our MC cannot let his dear disciple to die like this, so he steps up and stops the Cyclops punch with one hand. After stopping the punch, he asked Lee Ji-yoon that what she is doing. Lee Yong-hak then attacks the Cyclops' hand and pushes it back. He then gives an annoyed look at Lee Ji-yoon and asks that why she is swinging the sword ignorantly, and also tells her that he didn't train her to act like this. Lee Ji-yoon gets a bit depressed, but she also gets determined as she recalls about the days when she trained to death. She also questioned herself that, is it the best strike she can deliver? By seeing her in deep thinking, Lee Yong-hak gives a smile at her, tells her that she should use swordsmanship and the magic as one. At that time, the Cyclops gets stable and roars out loud. Lee Ji-yoon then talks to herself and says to her that there is no need to tremble and just swing the sword as she has been doing so far. She gets ready for the battle and rushes towards the Cyclops. But the Cyclops landed a clear punch on her and sends her flying towards a huge rock. She didn't get much damage for the punch as she blocks it with her longsword. As the Cyclops' hand is coming towards her, she gets determined and swings her sword multiple times. The strikes of her sword cuts the Cyclops' body in many places. The Cyclops then falls on its knees. She then walks on the Cyclops' hand and jumps from its shoulder and strikes the head of the Cyclops so hard that it finishes the Cyclops in one go. Lee Yong-hak gets impressed to see her talent, and for a moment he thinks that this time he will be able to fulfill his role as a savior. But after a while, he decides that he will not do anything and rest this time. After that, the yellow panel appears and says that she has done an almost miraculous victory against an opponent much stronger than herself. This achievement of her even surprised the celestial beings in the sky. Her magic increases to level D, her strength increases to level C, and her agility increases to level B-. She has also awakened the secret of one-to-one combat. She then falls on the ground, saying that she has won. Lee Yong-hak also congratulates her for doing so well. After that, we can see Lee Yong-hak has come to his home. He feels exhausted, and Start-Row slowly climb the stairs. He is a bit impressed to that Lee Ji-yoon has awakened the secret of one-to-one combat just by taking his advice. He also thinks that all the day he has been doing nothing, and so he decides to bring a change in his training method. As he arrives in front of his room, he sees that a lady is sitting in front of his door and continuously knocking it. He recognizes the lady as the Comet Guild team, one leader Han Soo-yeon. By seeing her, Lee Yong-hak thinks that he will gently provoke her. He then goes towards her and says that the door will break if she keeps on knocking like this. Han Soo-yeon gives an annoyed look and asks if he is talking to her. Lee Yong-hak replies that who else he would talk to when she is the only one here. Lee Yong-hak then tells her to step aside quickly, as it is bad to block the door of someone else's house. After that, Lee Yong-hak opens the door and gets inside of the house. As he is about to close the door, the lady holds the door and tells him to hear her for a moment. Lee Yong-hak then says that, how can he talk to a stranger? Han Soo-yeon then gives her identification card to him, and says that he is the Team 1 leader of the Comet Guild, and also one of the 8 rankers in South Korea. Lee Yong-hak didn't give a crap about it, and asked her why she is squatting outside someone else's door like an abandoned dog. By hearing this, Han Soo-yeon gets mad and gives an angry look at him, and says that if he is willing to make the Comet Guild his enemy. Lee Yong-hak mocks her acting that he very scared of the Comet Guild. Han Soo-yeon gets mad and crushes the door. Lee Yong-hak didn't notice it, and tells her to leave as he is very tired today, and so he need to rest. After that, she starts to walk away, and as Lee Yong-hak is about to close the door, he sees that the door is broken. He then quickly gets out, and stops Han Soo-yeon, and tells her to repay him 200k won for the damaged door. Han Soo-yeon gets angry, and throws the money at him. After that, we can see at the Phoenix Guild, Lee Ji-yoon has been promoted to A rank. Seo Yoon-ho gets shocked by hearing this news. He also asked her that how did she become so strong, and if she has come kind of secret mentor. Lee Ji-yoon replied that she gets this strong only by going hard work. As they gets out of the building, a bunch of reports are there waiting to take interview of the newly promoted A-rank Lee Ja-yoon. The reports even crazy and asked her tons of questions. She gets confused from all of this. Seo Yoon-ho then grabs her hand and drags her away from there. They goes back inside the building and runs towards the parking area. As they gets to the parking area, Seo Yoon-ho panting heavily. By seeing this, Lee Ji-yoon asked him that if he is training properly, as he is out of breath from just running this small distance. Lee Ji-yoon then gets in the car and tells Seo Yoon-ho to come quickly as they have to train harder. On the other hand, we can see Lee Yong-hak is slaying goblins in a dungeon. He single-handedly kills many goblins, and after killing them, he runs out of breath. He then stops for some time to catch his breath. As soon as he gets recharge, he starts to walk away. Han Soo-yeon and 2 of his subordinates are tailing Lee Yong-hak. Lee Yong-hak notices them and walks deeper inside the dungeon. As he walks a bit, he comes face to face with 3 gnolls. Gnoll is a monster with a dog head and a human body. By seeing the gnolls, Lee Yong-hak starts to run, and the gnolls also follows him. By seeing this, Han Soo-yeon tells his subordinate that they should follow him. But her subordinate says that there is no need to follow him as he will die on his own. The lady then gets angry and tells that she will handle Lee Yong-hak on her own. After that, she also starts to run after Lee Yong-hak. She quickly rushed there, thinking that Lee Yong-hak will be death by the hands of the gnolls. As she reaches there, she gets shocked to see that Lee Yong-hak has already defeated the 3 gnolls and is sitting on their body. She then asked him if he knew that she was tailing her. Lee Yong-hak says that he knew, and he thought that she has come to apologize for prying into someone else's affair and threatening them. By hearing this, Han Soo-yeon gets angry and rushed to attack him. Lee Yong-hak easily dodged her attack and gets down from the gnolls' bodies. The lady then said to Lee Yong-hak that just because he killed 3 gnolls, do we think he has become something? Lee Yong-hak replies that at least he thinks he is not a mean adult that goes around hitting people. Han Soo-yeon gets mad and attacks him. Lee Yong-hak again dodges it and the punch lands on the wall and cracks it. After that, Han Soo-yeon attacks Lee Yong-hak continuously, but not a single attack lands on him. Han Soo-yeon gets frustrated and tells him not to dodge like a rat. As she says this, Lee Yong-hak sees a gap, and by using his feet he makes her topple. He then said to her to go back and tell Kang Man-sik that if he doesn't want the disgrace of a year ago to be revealed, then come to the training ground right away and apologize to Choi Jin-wook. After saying this, he punched Han Soo-yeon on the face and knocked her out, the two subordinates of her coming rushing by, hearing the loud noise. As they arrived, they get scared to see the status of their team leader. Lee Yong-hak noticed them and tells them to come at him. After that, we can see Lee Ji-yoon and Seo Yoon-ho is in the dungeon, and they heard noises of people, and from the noise they make, it seems like they have been chased by monsters. As they see the people coming towards them, Lee Ji-yoon tells Seo Yoon-ho to get prepared for battle. But after a while they see that only 3 people passes them. By seeing this, the both of them get shocked. After that, we can Han Soo-yeon has gone to Kang Man-sik, and as she cannot talk, she write a letter to him that she has been beaten by Lee Yong-hak, Kang Man-sik. Them asked her how the hell the 3 of them gets beaten by a F-rank player. He also gets mad and shouts at her. Kang Man-sik then tells his subordinate to investigate about Lee Yong-hak. He then asked Han Soo-yeon that how long she will take to recover. Han Soo-yeon speaks, but nobody get her words because of her swollen face. Kang Man-sik then tells them to be prepared with 3 rankers, and when Lee Yong-hak again enters the dungeon, they will also move with the 3 rankers and finish him. Kang Man-sik is a bit tensed about this matter as his secret is involved. After that, in the next morning, we can see Lee Ji-yoon is driving a car and is very tired because she has to spend a whole day in the dungeon because of the reports. She is driving towards the training ground that Lee Yong-hak tells her. By seeing that the training ground is in a remote area, Lee Ji-yoon recognizes it as the Choi Jin-wook's training center. She then thinks that Choi Jin-wook is the master of Lee Yong-hak. Lee Ji-yoon has reached the place, and after parking her car, she starts to move towards the training center. As she arrives in front of the door, she gets shocked to see that the training center's openings time is 10 a.m. She then looks at her watch and sees that now it's only 5:40 a.m. After that, Lee Yong-hak comes to the training center and sees Lee Ji-yoon is sleeping in front of the door. He then wakes her up and says that she will catch a cold if she sleeps here. Lee Ji-yoon then wakes up and greets Lee Yong-hak. Lee Yong-hak then starts to knock on the door and screams. After a while, Choi Jin-wook comes out with an annoyed face and says that the place is not open yet. Choi Jin-wook then sees Lee Ji-yoon and asks who is she. Lee Ji-yoon then greets him and introduces her properly. From hearing her name, Choi Jin-wook recognizes her that she is from the Phoenix Guild, and he then tells the both of them to come inside. The both of them gets inside, and by seeing the behavior of her Lee Yong-hak asked that why she is so polite today. She replied that she is so polite because she is meeting her master's master. By hearing this, Lee Yong-hak burst into laughter. Choi Jin-wook hears him laughing and asked if the 2 of them is mocking him. Lee Ji-yoon then tells him that they are not mocking him. Lee Yong-hak says that it's a misunderstanding as she thought that he is Choi Jin-wook's master. Lee Ji-yoon gets a bit embraced and says that there's no way that he got strong because of Choi Jin-wook, because there's no way a rank F player got so strong. She also says it feels like Lee Yong-hak has skills that make it seem like he has been training for years. And also, it was Lee Yong-hak who defeated Kim Young-sik. Choi Jin-wook gets impressed and says that he never expect him to be such a great person. That why I will take care of this Comet Guild on my own, Lee Yong-hak says. He also says that he is preparing something for this building, and so he will be using this training ground for a while. Choi Jin-wook then tells him to do whatever he wants, because even if he says anything, he will not listen anyways. Lee Yong-hak then tells Lee Ji-yoon to go the 2nd floor and start here warm up. As Lee Ji-yoon leaves, Choi Jin-wook asked Lee Yong-hak that, what happens to Han Soo-yeon as he has heard that she went to his house? Lee Yong-hak replies that they met and talked. Afterward, he told her to go back to her boss and tell him something. Hearing this, Choi Jin-wook gets shocked and says that by boss if he means Kang Man-sik. He also says that Kang Man-sik never moves alone, and he is not someone that he can deal with that easily. Lee Yong-hak then replies that he don't care how many people he sends at him, as he will crush all of them. After that, he goes to the 2nd floor and asks Lee Ji-yoon if she is ready. At that time, Lee Ji-yoon was defeating an ogre, By seeing that how fast she kills an ogre, Lee Young-hak understands that she has completely mastered the one-to-one combat skill. Lee Young-hak says to her that she has done a nice job. He also says that today he is going to teach her the 10,000 death skill. By saying this, he summons 3 ogres using the stimulation device. As the 3 ogres get summoned, he takes a fighting pose and tells her to watch closely as it will be a bit challenging for her. By saying this, he slashes the sword so hard that all the ogres gets cut from the middle. The both of them gets shocked because not only the 3 ogres are a cut, but the wall of the training center is also cracked. Lee Young-hak then asked Lee Ji-yoon that if she see that. Lee Ji-yoon gets shocked and asked him that what did he just do. Lee Young-hak says that it's okay as she gets it. In a scared voice, Lee Ji-yoon says that she will try her best and practice this skill. While they were talking, Choi Jin-wook comes to the 2nd floor rushing because of the huge noise. As he gets a mini heart attack to see the crack on the wall. Choi Jin-wook gets mad and shouts that, "Do you know how much it costs to build this very strong wall? It takes a lot of power to destroy this wall. Even rankers shouldn't make any cracks on this one." After a while, he clams down and asked Lee Young-hak that how did he make such a huge crack. Lee Young-hak and Lee Ji-yoon then says not to worry as they will fix it. "That's not my question." I asked, "How on earth did you make such a big scratch on this wall?" Choi Jin-wook said. Lee Young-hak replies that it's because of a skill that is a little bit powerful. Choi Jin-wook gets a bit impressed and asked him if he thinks that this is enough for Kang Man-sik. "Even if he comes right now, I'm sure we can win," Lee Young-hak replied. Choi Jin-wook then walked towards Lee Young-hak and gives him the spare key of the training center. He then says to Lee Young-hak that he can come here whenever he wants, and also gives him a warning that not to break anything. Else Lee Young-hak then promises him that he will make sure to be quiet, to the point that he won't know that he is here. Afterward, Choi Jin-wook takes his leave, saying that he will prepare some tea. Lee Young-hak gets happy, because he didn't think that he will get the training ground so easily. He also thinks to repay Choi Jin-wook because of the trust he puts on him. As Choi Jin-wook leaves, Lee Young-hak focuses on his teaching and tells Lee Ji-yoon to practice harder as they will not leave this place until she mastered this skill. After that, a few days later, we can see Lee Ji-yoon and Seo Yoon-ho is in the Andromalius dungeon. The both of them have been killing monsters for a while, and now decides to take a short break. Seo Yoon-ho gets impressed to see the growth rate of them. At first, killing a large group of goblins was a pain for them, and now they are easily killing large groups of gargoyle. Seo Yoon-ho also gets it. That the main reason for their super-fast progress is none other than Lee Jae-yoon, as she can kill many gargoyles with just one blow. He also thinks that there must be some sort of secret training that is making her strong so rapidly. Seo Yoon-ho then asked her that why she is not coming to the guild's training ground. She replies that if she goes to guild, the building will be full of reporters, and that might be a problem to the guild staff, and that's why she is coming here to train. By hearing this, Seo Yoon-ho asked her that if he can come to train with her. Lee Ji-yoon say to him that why he would do that as the guild already has a training ground. Seo Yoon-ho says that he doesn't want to go to the guild's training ground because he wants to come with her to train. Now Lee Ji-yoon gets in a difficult situation, and she cannot find out how to get out of this situation. After that, we can see Lee Ji-yoon is training intensely at the Choi Jin-wook training center. While training, she gets a wound on her left palm. Her palm starts to bleed. At that time, Lee Young-hak arrives and says to her that she has done a good job, and it will be enough for today. Lee Ji-yoon then said that she can train more. Lee Young-hak then says that if she practice any more, she won't be able to hold the sword properly for a long time. And will that okay for her? He also says that there's no rush. As long as she have made progress, it's all good. Lee Ji-yoon then obeys his words and starts to walk away. As she leaves, Lee Young-hak sees the scratches on the wall and gets impressed, as this wall is not an ordinary wall, and it is made of special materials. Later, both of them gets ready and gets downstairs. There they meet with Choi Jin-wook. Choi Jin-wook says that it's a bit unusual that they are leaving so early, Tody. Lee Young-hak says that they had to leave early because he has a guest and to meet. He also thanks Choi Jin-wook for letting them practice here. By hearing this, Choi Jin-wook asked if he's bringing the guest here. Don't be so concerned. He's not like an intruder or spy of some sort, Lee Young-hak said. At that time, a car has come and stopped in front of the training center. Lee Ji-yoon hears Lee Young-hak and Choi Jin-wook talking. She then misunderstands it and thinks that the person they are talking about is Seo Yun-ho. She then apologized to them. Lee Yong-hak gets confused and says to her not to worry, and tells her to do home as there is someone watching them. He also tells her that her hand needs to be healed properly, so she should take a 3 days off. Lee Ji-yoon nods her head and take her leave. As she leaves, Lee Yong-hak thinks that it's a bad idea to let Lee Ji-yoon come to the training ground with him, as he can sense that some Phoenix Guild members are watching them or something, even though he tried his best to cover it up though. But it's still better to plan something else, just in case something happens to her. Afterwards from the car, Kang Man-sik gets out and enters the training center. He then tells Choi Jin-wook that he has maintained the training center quite well. By seeing him, Choi Jin-wook gives an angry look and asks him that why he has come here. Kang Man-sik gets angry and tells him that he has come to meet someone, and if he don't want to put his arms in danger, he should stay quiet. At that time, Yong-hak comes out and says to Kang Man-sik that how can he be so harsh. Kang Man-sik then looks angrily and says that he is the one who beat Han Soo-yeon, and he also asked him that if he thinks that he can deal with the Comet Guild so easily. Lee Yong-hak then mock him further by saying that he beat the 3 of them, not just one. As Kang Man-sik is about to get out of control, Lee Yong-hak takes his phone and plays a recording. The recording is about the talk when Kang Man-sik was behaving harshly with Choi Jin-wook. After playing the recording, Lee Yong-hak tells Kang Man-sik to go home, or else he will be in a serious situation. Kang Man-sik then leaves by saying that he will regret this. As Kang Man-sik leaves, Choi Jin-wook asked Lee Yong-hak that why did he start a war with them for an incident that occurs 10 years ago. Lee Yong-hak replies that he didn't like his attitude, so he does this. Choi Jin-wook then asked him that if it is okay, as the Comet Guild will come after them in groups. Lee Yong-hak says he don't care how many comes after him because he knows he will not lose. After 2 days, we can see Lee Ji-yoon is talking with the Phoenix Guild leader. The leader says that recently many abnormal incidents have been occurring in the dungeon, and that there are also cases of missing persons. And that's why they have concluded a meeting with the association and decides to form a new investigate team. And until then, the Phoenix Guild will not enter the Andromalius dungeon. Lee Ji-yoon gets shocked to hear this. She then tells the leader that they need to at least reduce the monster level in the dungeon, or else the monsters might take this chance and escape from the dungeon. The leader says that he knows that, but it's not the time for Phoenix Guild to come. The Comet Guild, as well as the association, has already taken actions in the dungeon, and if the Phoenix Guild steps even further, it could lead to a dispute between guilds. Lee Ji-yoon gets angry and punched the table in front of the leader. She then said that she will not wait and watch normal people gets into danger. She then leaves by saying that she will go to the dungeon even if he didn't agree to her. By seeing her reaction, the leader gets impressed and calls the team one leader to bring him the key of the warehouse. As even though he cannot help her directly, he wants to at least give her something that will be helpful for her. Later, we can see Lee Ji-yoon is sitting in a room alone and is taking care of his injured hand as she has to go to the training ground tomorrow, and her hand is not completely healed yet. At that time, Seo Yun-ho comes, and by seeing her hand bandaged, he asked her that how did she get hurt. She says that there is nothing to worry as it is just a normal training wound. Seo Yun-ho gets curious about the type of training she does. So he asked her about her training method. She replies that if she says he will hurt himself. As the two of them were talking at that time, Team 1 leader come with a huge thing wrapped with white cloth. By seeing him, Lee Ji-yoon asked if he has come to capture her by the orders of the guild leader. He replied that it's not like that. He has come here to deliver an item to her by the guild leader's order. He then removes the cloth to reveal the item. The item is a long sword. As Lee Ji-yoon sees the sword, she recognizes it as the sword of Kim Young-sik. She then takes the sword in her hand and says thanks to the team leader. The team leader then takes his leave, and before leaving he tells her to use it with care. Then at the Comet Guild we can see Kang Man-sik is in his battle suit. A subordinate of his comes and tells that Lee Yong-hak has come out of the training center and is now heading towards the Andromalius dungeon. At that time, Han Soo-yeon comes and says that the investigation team is ready. After that, Kang Man-sik orders all the members in the investigation to move towards the Andromalius dungeon. He and all the members starts to move, and Kang Man-sik is happy. Because he will take care of Lee Yong-hak and his secret will remain a secret forever. Later onwards, we can see Lee Yong-hak is walking in the Andromalius dungeon. Many monsters are also following him. He walks along narrow path and comes to a dead end and stands in front of the wall. He then sensed that 3 people are tailing him. Afterwards, he starts to search something on the wall, and at that time Kang Man-sik and 2 of his subordinates come to Lee Yong-hak and says to him that he is really unintelligent to come here as now he has nowhere to run. Lee Yong-hak didn't seem to be scared, rather. He smiles and says to them, "At last they have shown their face." He then pushes a button on the wall. This is one of the traps throughout the dungeon. As soon as it activates, the entrance gets closed and the area becomes pitch black. Kang Man-sik and the 2 of them get scared as they were unable to see anything. Lee Yong-hak laughs and says to them that if they think that he will be trapped so easily, he then rushed towards Han Soo-yeon and grabs her face and smashed her into the wall. "I stopped myself last time and gave you a chance to rethink your choices. But now that you're here, are you ready to take the consequences?" Lee Yong-hak says this by grabbing Han Soo-yeon's neck. Han Soo-yeon begs Lee Yong-hak to leave her as she was ordered to come here. Lee Yong-hak didn't listen to her begging and slaps her in the face. Lee Yong-hak then starts to beat her mercilessly. On the other side, Kang Man-sik and his subordinate is starting hopeless by hearing the painful screams of Han Soo-yeon. Kang Man-sik gets frustrated and starts to swing his sword aimlessly. He also tells Lee Yong-hak a coward and says him to show himself and have a fair fight. Fair? How the hell you can say the word fair when you were the one who betrayed Choi Jin-wook and took the position of the guildmaster? Lee Yong-hak says. Kang Man-sik gets enraged, but the subordinate of his gets scared to see that Lee Yong-hak knows traps that even the Comet Guild doesn't know. Lee Yong-hak further says, "With great power comes great responsibility, but also this great power comes with a great punishment." A rankers is someone who oath to clear the dungeons fairly to protect the normal people. But some of them breaks this noble oath intentionally for their personal gain. And Kang Man-sik is one of them. So Toady Lee Yong-hak will execute the punishment of him. As Lee Yong-hak was talking, Kang Man-sik hears him carefully, and from his voice he figures out his location. He then stabs the sword in the wall and pierces it to hit Lee Yong-hak. But Lee Yong-hak dodges it easily. Kang then opens the wall using his strength and launches a flashy attack on Lee Yong-hak to block it. Lee Yong-hak attacks Kang Man-sik's sword and breaks it. Kang Man-sik gets shocked to see that a plain sword attack breaks his sword. Ares. What a nice constellation. But the person using it doesn't know how to use it and uses only half of its power. What a shame, Lee Yong-hak says to Kang Man-sik. Kang Man-sik gets furious and attacks Lee Yong-hak with the half-sword. But compared to Lee Yong-hak's speed and battle sense, Kang Man-sik is just a mere child. Lee Yong-hak moves fast and knocks him by stabbing his stomach with his sword handle. Lee Yong-hak then starts to move towards Kang Man-sik's subordinate. Lee Yong-hak says to him that they are going to die today, as they has abounded their oath. The subordinate starts to shake by seeing Lee Yong-hak approaching him. While the subordinate is begging for a second chance at that time, Kang Man-sik gets up and launches a sneak attack at Lee Yong-hak, but he swiftly dodges it and grabs the neck of the subordinate. By seeing this, Kang Man-sik falls on his knees and feels regret. At that time, a voice comes to his ear, which says, "Come on, there's no way you'll just let yourself rot to death here, just like that." Kang Man-sik asked, "Who is it?" The voice didn't reply to his question, and rather it asked Man-sik if he wants something. By hearing this, he gets shocked, and after looking to his helpless self, he tells that he wants power that can blow everything away. The voice then says that he will grant him his wish. The voice then introduces itself that he is the mighty great Earl of Hell, commanding 36 legions, Andromalius, and now he will give him the power he wants. After that, swamp of snake crawls out of nowhere and starts to wrap around Kang Man-sik. Eventually, Kang Man-sik gets fully devoured by the snakes. On the other hand, Lee Yong-hak has finished dealing with the subordinate, and as he turns around, a tail attacks Lee Yong-hak, but he dodged it and sees that Kang Man-sik has turned into a full-fledged monster. He then takes a fighting stand and says that now, as he has turned into a monster, he will be able to show him how a true player deals this type of situation. On the other side, we can see Lee Ji-yoon and Seo Yoon-ho has also entered the dungeon, and that have come to a place where is a pile of goblin death bodies. By seeing this, Lee Ji-yoon tells Seo Yoon-ho to hurry as the investigation team is already ahead of them. Seo Yoon-ho then asked her that why they are here looking for the investigation team. Lee Ji-yoon replies that the situation is a bit fishy as the investigation team won't hunt monsters unless they are in their way. By seeing all the corpse of the monsters, Seo Yoon-ho also believes that there is something big happening. After that, both of them starts to run following the Cropses. They have come to a point where the path divides into two. The right path is filled with goblin Cropses, and the left path was clean with no Cropses. Lee Ji-yun says that they should take the left path, as the right one leads to a dead end. By seeing the death bodies on the right path, Seo Yun-ho says that they should be going to the right path. Lee Ji-yun replies no, and says that they are here in the dungeon on a different reason. Lee Ji-yun then thinks that by now the investigation team should have found the issue in this dungeon, and they need to act fast. If not, monsters will keep spawning and will overflow out of the dungeon. The both of them come here to prevent the overflow of the dungeon that happened 2 years ago. The two of them starts to walk along the left path, and as they were walking they come across with many Cropses of gargoyle. Lee Ji-yun takes photo of the crops as a proof. While she was doing this, the ground starts to shake and they can hear screams of many people. After that, they see many players are running towards them, and the players are followed by swamps of monsters. By seeing this, Lee Ji-yun takes Seo Yun-ho and goes to a side alley. From the look of the monsters, it seems like that they are running, because they are also scared from something. Lee Ji-yun then tells Seo Yun-ho to quickly call the association and tells them that all the monsters in the dungeon are escaping. At that time, another huge trembling occurs, and the roof above then shatters, and from there, a huge snake appears. Fortunately, the both of them are unharmed, as they dodged it at the right time. By seeing the huge snake, Lee Ji-yun grabs her sword and tells Seo Yun-ho to get prepared for battle. On Lee Yong-hak's side, he is dealing with the monster Kong Man-sik. All the attacks of the monster are no use as Lee Yong-hak deflects them all. Lee Yong-hak then decides to kill him, so he overs his sword with flames and rushes towards Kong Man-sik, and with a single slash, he kills him. After that, the yellow panel appears and says that he has killed the rank 72 boss, the Earl of Hell Andromalius, and now many constellations are commending on his huge achievement. A total of 64 constellations are recommending for Lee Yong-hak. He sees all the constellations' name and founds the name of the king of Olympus, Zeus. He chooses Zeus to form a contract, and the contract was successfully formed, and after that 4 skills were shown, and Lee Yong-hak was to choose any one of them. He then chooses the 3rd skill, which is the mastery of Electro. As he is about to leave, Andromalius asks that who he really is, and how could he defeat him, who is powerful enough to kill all the monsters in the dungeon. Lee Yong-hak replies that he is the one who has broken 14 of his bones. After that, he gets out of there, and as he gets out, he hears noises of intense fighting, and he thinks that how his student Lee Ji-yun is doing. Lee Ji-yun is currently fight with the huge snake, along with Seo Yun-ho. Their attacks were useless, and Lee Ji-yun cannot use his ultimate skill, as it can also hit Seo Yun-ho. So as the snake rushed towards them, she tells Seo Yun-ho to run away. As he runs away, and a distance is created between them, Lee Ji-yun jumps towards the snake's mouth and uses her one-step insta-kill on the snake. By landing the attack successfully, she runs to make some space between the snake and her. She thinks that her skills has worked, but as she looks at the snake, she sees that is only a little cut under the snake's eye. She quickly runs towards Seo Yun-ho and tells him to run even further, as this place will get dangerous. By saying this, she crushes the pillar and takes Seo Yun-ho and runs at full speed. As the pillar breaks, the ceiling starts to fall, and as the snake was chasing them, the whole ceiling falls on the snake. The snake remains silent, so they thinks that they killed it and starts to relaxes a bit. But soon they gets a huge shock as the snake gets up with a loud roar.